Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November business meeting of the Macomb Park District Board of Commissioners. As always, we start with an approval of the agenda, and I have one secretarial or sort of editorial correction to make on item 8. It should read distribution and consideration on Executive Director's Annual Review with possible closed session. So with that correction, which I don't think being merely editorial prejudices the session, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
A second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as published. All in favor, please?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The agenda stands approved as published. The second item we have is consideration and action on the minutes of the October business meeting. There is one editorial correction for which I thank Commissioner Ham. Under item 6, there in the second paragraph, second line, should read, has seen an increased need for a stricter policy. I have a feeling we have spell check to thank for this. So, are there any other corrections or additions to the minutes? And hearing none, is there a motion to, a motion? When anybody out there figures
Spell
out what an
correcting word.
emotion, yeah. Okay, we've gone from spell check to speech check. All right, this is going to be that kind of meeting. Quickly, a motion to approve?
I would like to move that we approve the minutes with the corrections.
Thank you, sir. Could we have a motion to, second to the motion, please?
Second that.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as published. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then the motion carries. This evening, we do have an open presentation to the commissioners to,
Did we do minutes? The monthly-
oops, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
monthly transfer.
Bills and transfers, monthly financial statements. That would be Commissioner Ham.
For the October, mostly what I do is I look at the budget items and make sure that for the month that things are running reasonably within line. The consolidated fund, the corporate fund, the recreation fund, all pretty much were expected. They are running better. The consolidation fund for the year and also the general fund. The other areas are within reason of the budget. The payroll for October for the month actually was a little bit more than what was expected. There had been some increase in some salary positions, so that was not a large amount. It was 3,800 approximately. The overall budget, however, for the year is still better than what we expected, so that's a good thing. Also, the bond for the year was paid off on October 20th. That's always good that we had met the monthly payments for that. New bond money had been received for the consolidated fund on November 8th. So we do expect also to get the final tax distribution. I don't know. I hadn't spoken with Chris this week if that had came, but we are expecting it to come in hopefully before the end of November. Other than that, I don't have any other things to report on. I did look at some individual items in checks that were written. I have still waiting for some answers on a couple of those questions. But all in all, we're still doing very good as far as the monthly budgets staying in line.
Are there any questions for Commissioner Ham or regarding the bills and transfers? Then hearing none, can we have a motion to approve the bills and transfers and the monthly financial statement?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. This is a financial matter and requires a roll call vote.
Commissioner Hemingway,
Aye.
Commissioner Ham,
Aye.
Commissioner Borzell,
Aye.
Commissioner Weiss.
Aye.
Then the bills and transfers monthly financial statements stand approved as published. And now we get to the public presentation. And we have with us Mr. Jeff Mayberry, who's the owner of the Domino's here in town and a previous president of the Little League. And I will leave it to you to begin to tell us what you have in mind.
Okay, well, good evening, Commissioners. I'm here representing the Macomb Little League. As the former president for many years, I've served on the board for approximately 15 years. And behind me, we have some of our board members. We're coming to you today just to open up some dialogue between the Park District and our organization about where things stand at Veterans Park as far as our group's ability to play baseball games out there in the summer and the ability to hopefully have lighted fields to do that. So a little background about our organization. We have 300-plus children annually that we serve, ranging in age from 5 to 14 years old. We're the largest youth organization in the community. We serve both boys and girls. And we've been out at Patton Park, which has been a wonderful facility for years. And I know some of you here on the board have had a lot of kids that have been through that facility. We really like what's been done out of Veterans. We appreciate that. However, our group is kind of seeing where we're at with this right now, and we don't feel like it's really in a finished stage as far as not having the lights. And it kind of represents really a lateral move for our group. Another thing that I want to point out is where we're at now at Patton, we've had the ability to lease from you the concession stand and use the concession stand then during our season as a source of revenue to help fund our program and to help keep costs down that we pass along to the families. Moving to Veterans this year, we won't have that opportunity to operate our own concession stand. Therefore, we'll be taking on greater expense, or a lack of revenue, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for our group. So as I stand here, I think our group has some questions as far as, what's been presented to us is that your desire for our group to move to Veterans for the upcoming year, but is there a plan in place to fund the lights out there for the boys' diamonds? Because right now there are none, and it's my understanding that it's going to take a while for that to happen. And the girls already have a nice facility with lights and whatnot, and not having lights really restricts our ability to play games as we should. I mean, at Patton for all these years, we've had to play time limit games. We've had to do a lot of things that we call house rules that aren't within the Little League rule book, but we have to do those things to manipulate our lack of a lighted facility. So years ago, whenever I talked to Ray Peterson, Rachel's predecessor, he had indicated what was happening, and he thought that there would probably be a day where we would have lights on those fields. So I guess, again, that's kind of what we're trying to find out. So, is there a plan? What is the time frame for this to happen? How much money would be needed to complete this project? Is there a way that the boys possibly could share in some of the lighted facilities that are there now that the girls use to possibly play some games under lights out there? So those are questions that we had, and I don't know how this is supposed to work, if you guys can speak to these things now, or if I'm just here to present this and you can take some notes and get back with us, but that's kind of what we're here for this evening.
It works both ways, actually. We can give you some answers, and we can take some notes and get back to you both.
Okay.
As far as the basic question of a plan for installation of lights, there is a plan. We fully intend to have lights at the Little League field.
At Veterans.
At Veterans, yeah. Yeah, that's my entire reference is to Veterans here. As to a timeline, that does depend on finances. The director can tell us maybe quickly what kind of cost estimates we've received.
So we did a rough estimate with McClure Engineering, and depending on the lighting that we choose, which it is our intent to hopefully use the same lighting that's at the girls' diamonds, because it's so, it's really, really nice, and it provides us a lot of opportunities. But it's between $400,000 and $500,000. So,
Just a little background on how it happened, that the lighting did occur at the girls' fields. When we were finishing up the construction, and as always, the lighting is the last thing that you do, we had received bids in about the same amount, proportionally, for, whatever inflation there might be. But there was a hitch in the bid process, so the board didn't feel comfortable going forward with that. We decided we'd put it out to rebid, so everything would be all above board and clear. And apparently some of the contractors panicked and thought that we were doing that because we thought the prices were too high. And the person who installed the bids actually cut his bid in half. So they cost us just a little over about $250,000 or something like that. And if you could arrange to have the same thing happen, then we could probably do this a little quicker. I know that the director is planning a fundraising effort to work on that, specifically devoted to it. So I'm going to kind of, at least for me, and I'll let other board members chime in, from my perspective, the answer to the overall question is we intend to have lights out there. And we'll get them there as quickly as we can get them there. But right now, we just don't know when that's going to be. And that's the honest to God truth.
Okay. I'm going to spitball a few other questions here I have. With the city taking over the pool, I guess, and the operation thereof and expense of that, would there be monies that would normally be appropriated to the pool that could be moved toward this direction for funding of the lights?
That's a question that I'm sure will get addressed as we begin to put the budget together for next year. We usually reserve something like $37,500 for repairs out there. So even if we set that entire amount aside, it would take us 10 years to approach that amount. We will have the first set of bonds for the development of the athletic fields at Veterans Park paid off in 2021, which will open up some money. That's probably longer than any of us in this room will want to wait for that. So we're looking, we're going to have to fundraise and be creative. And we'll probably be calling on your organization to help us with that.
Okay, well, that was another question that I had. Prior to today, really, there's, prior to Rachel, there's not been a lot of dialogue back and forth between your organization and ours. And, I just wondered if moving forward, we would be able to voice our thoughts and opinions and concerns to you guys for consideration as to what our needs are, because I don't think anyone, with all due respect on the board, really knows, what the needs of our Little League operation are, or what would make things better for us out there at that park. So that was one of the things that we wanted to share was, we would like to just have a friendly dialogue and begin, telling you what would make that a good place for us, so,
Feel free to contact me or the director anytime.
okay.
Well, I want to make some comments on this whole process because that's one of the reasons I've, for years and years, have wondered the timetable of building the diamonds out there, not only to accommodate the Little League out there with lights, but also the adult league diamonds out there also with lights. When I came on the board over a year ago, it seems it's a progressive financial priority list, I definitely put the Little League having lights out there ahead of putting the adult diamonds out there. Now, that may not be shared by all the members because we haven't had that conversation, okay?
Okay.
But that's where I am, because I do see a need for lights for the boys out there. I know they've been out patting since '82. I can tell you that. No lights, but you have had control of the concession stand. That's something that I haven't really thought much about, but that is going to cut into your revenues and potentially will have to be passed on to other ways of funding the league. So I don't know. We have not had a conversation of how that concession stand is going to work. So that's something that we're going to need to meet and talk about. Because I know you guys do take control of that, and that is something that's out there at Veterans Park for the girls, but they don't run that concession stand and get any. I don't
Right.
believe we,
No, we contract
The
out
girls.
concessions to veterans, to a separate contractor.
yeah, that's not to the girls. So it is a separate contracting unit that takes care of that, but it's not
Correct.
the girls, from my understanding.
Right.
Right.
So we'll have to address that issue. Again, it's a financial prioritizing of how to get those lights out and we addressed this a couple of months ago. I had asked the board, asked Rachel to come up with these figures of what this light was going to cost us to get the boys' diamonds lit. As far as the timetable, I'm not going to put a date out on there. Yes, it's going to be 2 years from now, 3 years, or whatever. We haven't had enough conversation. I feel comfortable with saying 2 years, 3 years. It's just, again, a funding priority.
Sure. I don't think any of us expected an answer to that question tonight. We just, again, want to open up that dialogue and let you know that we feel that it's a pretty important project. And I will say, too, publicly, that it's my opinion that the order of how this has happened, as far as the soccer fields and the girls' diamonds and then the boys' diamonds and the adult diamonds, was the proper way to go about it. We've had and continue to have up until through this year a wonderful facility at Patton. Just has no lights. Other than that, there's really nothing at all wrong with it. And so that kind of leads into my last question or statement. I'm wondering what the intent is for Patton Park moving forward, because it would still hold great use to our organization to possibly play games there as well at Veterans. That being able to do that would help us with the lack of lights. Also, just if not playing games there, the ability to have practice fields that are available, because really once the season starts, there's very little practice time that's able to be had by any of our teams in any of our leagues, because the fields are always in use for games. So if those would be even maintained at a nominal level to just provide a facility for practicing, we would appreciate that if that's feasible on your end. So
Sort of a two-tier answer to that. One is that we've already been approached by another organization regarding those fields and their use. Katz has asked about that. And I'm going to leave it to the director to figure out, how priorities on those fields and what we might want to do with them might be handled. The second tier to that is a little bit more long range, and that is that we are at the very beginning stages of looking at some long range planning that hasn't really been done here. So those fields, Patton Park in general, like all parks, is going to be involved in that. So what the long-term prospects there are, I'm not 100% sure. But I don't think we have any intention of disappearing those parks.
They're going to remain practice to the public, practice fields, right? Available at least next
Yeah.
year, and at least this year, next year, 2018, those will be practice fields. And as far as
Game fields.
game
depending.
fields, yeah.
Okay.
And so they'll be mowed, the outfield will be mowed.
Yeah, the fields will
kept
be
up,
maintained
and
because,
can be prepped for games,
yeah.
from what I understand. I don't think
Like I
there's
said,
any
we're
immediate
not,
plans.
we're not making
for
those go away right now.
this year,
Okay.
or next year, 18. Yeah.
So there's not been a determination, is that what I'm understanding, as far as the long term?
No,
On
we're-
those?
We're just beginning that process.
Okay, okay, fair enough.
I think it might be beneficial for us at some point then, because I know that Jeff and I have had many meetings together, and we've met with the mayor, and Jeff is a great advocate for Little League and has a lot of wonderful ideas and development for how this program will grow and benefit, the youth in our community. So I'll take a minute to just give you applause for that and the steps that you've taken thus far to, advocate for your group and for the kids that you serve. But I think it might be beneficial for maybe Jeff and yourself or myself and maybe Russ as the treasurer to get together and just discuss maybe finances or project fundraising or the like, just to get us all more engaged as two corporations together.
I understand about the lack of communication in the past. I'd like to get it open.
Okay. Well, we would definitely be receptive to having a voice and being a part of the solution. We're not here to pound our fist on the podium and raise holy heck, but we would like to see something moving the right direction in reasonable time. We think it's only fair to expect that, what one can have, both can have. And, I totally feel for the parents that have both boys and girls in the coming season where maybe son's game has to end because of darkness while you walk 500 yards across the park and there's daughter playing for another hour and a half. So those are just things we'll have to deal with, and we've dealt with them for years and will continue to deal with, but it would be nice to kind of put the finishing touches on that facility. And one last thing I'll leave you with too is keep in mind that, this isn't really just about Little League and just about the Park District. That facility has wide-reaching benefits for the community. I can assure you that just with our Little League organization at the district level, they have been, for many years, excited about the prospects of us being able to move our operation out there with lights and be able to host district and sectional and regional competition. And, we also have internally within our organization, we have a travel program that benefits upwards of 50 or so kids. And we could host those tournaments here at multiple different age levels, as could the girls. And, that brings in hotel stays, gas station, people come in and fill up gas tanks and restaurants. So, it affects the community. So I think, it's a nice looking place out there and things are going the right direction, but to be able to finish that off and do it right would, I think, be a big benefit to the city. It really would. So,
Rest assured that we are fully aware of the things that you just said. And I think it's probably the case that if you polled the board, you would find that so far as Veterans Park is concerned, that the number one priority is getting that finished. We refer to it as phase two.
Mhm.
And I'm aware of what the director's goals were and what she's working on, and that's right at the top of the list, so
Okay.
I appreciate very much. Do any commissioners wish to ask any questions? Does have anything to offer? I think it's excellent that you came in and talked. I do think, I agree with you about opening communication so that there aren't any, at the very least, no misunderstandings about where we're headed, because I think we want very much the same thing.
Okay, very good. Well,
One quick question.
yes, sir.
I know you guys have annual meetings to start out the new season. When is that? Have you scheduled that yet?
We typically have meetings throughout the year, even in the off-season. So I believe we have another meeting scheduled in December. I would have to look and see exactly for a date for that. But then for sure, after the first of the year, we start getting ramped up pretty good, and those meetings become, a couple times a month or once a week, so.
I would entertain being, I know I've come to them in the past.
Mhm.
I'd, be willing to attend.
Okay, we will,
Shoot an invitation out to the Park District.
I will get back with
My
you.
email or Park District email.
Russ, I'll get back with you and we'll give you some time to come talk
Why
to
don't
us.
we have the director and Russ come, because I know Russ has been involved in the leagues around town and has face recognition and credibility with that, and it'll give people a chance to talk to Director Lenz, so just go ahead and
Absolutely, that's fine. Rachel and I have maintained some pretty good open dialogue here since she's taken over, and so I feel like she's in our corner and an ally here in this project. But again, I think it will serve 300 plus kids, their families, but it'd have a big economic impact, I think, on the community if we can do it and do it right and get some things happening out there.
I guarantee you, if we could snap our fingers, it'd happen overnight. The park code doesn't contain that.
Sure,
So,
understood. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you for your time.
oh, no,
Jeff?
thank you for coming in and talking. It's good.
Okay, appreciate it.
So then we'll leave you, and whenever that invitation comes, we'll
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, we'll
And
be happy to.
then-
sir.
you can let us know at like the next board meeting, what you heard, what went on. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, go ahead, feel free.
And thank you to the rest of the board members for attending
Yeah.
and showing your support. Very nice to meet you all.
That leads us,
Come on, Curtis, you can know that.
okay. That leaves us then with item 5, which is the president's report. Just yesterday, I was, in the interest of full disclosure, I was contacted by Peter Murphy from the IAPD and was asked to continue serving on the IAPD program and nominating committees for next year's second year of my term on that state board. And something else I wanted to raise and make people aware of it, the commissioners aware of it, and maybe just generally, for a good part of the fall, Neil Armstrong, who's our supervisor of support services, handles the safety and security things, and I attended what's named the Citizens Police Academy that was sponsored, operated by the Macomb Police Department. And I know the director had wanted to attend as well, but with events and schedules such wasn't able to. And I found it extremely valuable, and I think a lot of anybody who holds certainly a public elected position might benefit from it. It's a 10-week program. It meets on Thursdays, usually from 6 o'clock to, in some cases, whenever. And I won't go into the detailed program, except that all I know is that one afternoon on a Saturday, I got to fire a Thompson submachine gun, and I think that they were worried about prying it out of Neil Armstrong's and my hands after a while. But there was a great deal that we learned about police procedures, evidence collection, et cetera. And one of the spurs, I mean, obviously with Mr. Armstrong and his job responsibilities, but I also thought that as, elected board president, ought to learn a little bit more and establish some contacts there. And we have had some issues in several of our parks in the recent months. So I just want to mention it. It's highly educational, it's fairly informal. And yeah, actually, I found it kind of rewarding and worth doing. So if you have any questions about who to contact or might be interested in doing it, let me know. But I do think it did help build some bridges with those guys. They do a tough job. Questions, comments, complaints, accusations? Then we'll turn it over to the director for her report.
So we did a collaborative effort and put on a new event called Zombie Apocalypse Macomb that happened at the end of October. Lots went on. It was our first attempt at a weekend-long event. So we worked with Pepsi, Hy-Vee. We did a little collaboration with regional media, the Macomb Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, the McDonough County Housing Authority, Hornfield Campus. So community-wide effort in bringing something different and unique to Macomb. From a event structural standpoint, it was wonderfully put on. So our hats off to our community partners that assisted in the event and helped make it such a success. It did tend to have cold weather that weekend, so we didn't have the turnout that we thought, but thanks to our connections with the owner of Outskirts, we were able to host the event there in an indoor location where everybody could be away from the cold. So we thank Dan for his willingness to work with us in such a last-minute notice. But we have met since then and are encouraged. We also work with the College of Fine Arts and Communication. I should say that because they made all of our people zombies, and it was awesome. So we've met and we've talked about next year, and we're all looking forward, I believe, to another year of the zombie event. So we went and attended the Vibe benefit auction this weekend, and we're able to present Vibe with a check for $2,500 from the ZAM fam, as we call ourselves. So excited to be able to have impacted a great cause here in town. So that was ZAM. We're excited to see it happen again next year. The superintendent of events position has officially opened. We put out a press release a couple weeks back, so we will accept applications until December 1st. Looking to have somebody named as the new superintendent of events by the end of January. The only reason for the extended amount of time is because Thanksgiving and Christmas kind of fall during that time, so we want to make sure we're respectful of people's holidays. So I'll work with the applicants in getting some interviews scheduled, but hopefully we'll have somebody official by the end of January of 2018. We're in budget season right now, so Chris Frankhauser and myself are working diligently to bring you guys the most up-to-date version of what we expect for 2018. Dean Torsen, the city administrator, has been wonderful to work with. It being technically my second year doing this, but my first year doing it alone. Ray's not here to help me this time, so Dean's stepped up and is going to sit down with me a couple of times and just work through what he's doing with the city and what I can expect to see for the Park District. So very thankful to Dean for his his willingness to take time away from his own tax levy to help me with mine. I had the opportunity of sitting in as a community leader for the Convention and Visitors Bureau hiring process. We got to meet the candidates for the new director of the CVB, and I'm quite excited about the person that they chose. If you haven't heard, the director is a Macomb native, moved up to Chicago, and has just accomplished a tremendous amount of things for himself. To sum it up real quick, the man has 4 Emmys, so he has a lot of connections outside of Macomb and a lot of drive and motivation, and I think that beyond my excitement for what that could bring to Flatland, I think what he can bring to Macomb is just extremely exciting for us all. So looking forward to working more closely with him and engaging his resources for Macomb and for our events. So what else? The parks are officially winterized, so if people are, going into the parks and they notice that the bathrooms are closed, that's because there's no water hooked up. So as soon as the first snow hits, we'll start closing the streets because our streets are not meant to be plowed. It tears them up quite well. So, but yeah, they were officially closed at the beginning of November.
Question, Mitchell, is that, what about Veterans Park?
Same.
That whole entryway would be closed? Okay.
Just when we think a plow would attempt to come through it.
Okay,
Yeah, so
thanks.
not a problem. Let's see. IPRA conference is coming up in January. I myself and our graphic design part-timer are going to go. We've been invited to present on our efforts with Unplug Macomb. We got recognized by the state association that puts on that initiative, and they want to know just how it went for us for our first year and how we received such great response. And so Whitney, being the mastermind behind that entire project, it seemed only fitting to make sure she was there to receive the recognition for it as well. So we're honored to be invited to present and excited to tell the other districts in the state what we've done and how we did it. So very excited for that opportunity. And then last but not least, I'll pass that down. It all happens for a reason that it all comes together this way, but we are doing a fundraising initiative called Push for the Parks. This is our fundraising campaign for the lighting out at Veterans Park. So we are running this through the Macomb Area Recreation and Leisure Foundation, and we have a really good relationship with them, if you didn't know. And so if people want to donate, it is a tax-deductible donation. We have a page up on our website. It's under the water icon in our logo. If people hover their mouse over that, there'll be a dot that comes up that says fundraising. So people can make donations through that. We'll have local events going on through our local businesses, donating percentages of the evening to the project. But we've been working closely not only with Jeff, but also with Mayor Inman. He's invested in the project as well. So I think we will see a lot of community collaboration for this event, or for this project moving forward, and hopefully we'll see it sooner than later come to fruition. So if anybody is interested in donating or being a part of the initiative or being on a committee to put that forward, I invite them to contact me at the Park District, and I'd love to get them involved in the initiative. So that's all I have.
Questions for the director? Well, thank you.
Yes.
We come now to item 8 on the agenda. And what you are about to receive is the director's report on her annual goals. You will see that her contract is attached to this, along with a memorandum discussing her goals, and how she sees herself as having fulfilled them. Under the contract, we are obligated in the months of October and November to engage in a review of this material and to either accept or ask for, I suppose, further clarification of the annual statement, and then to take any action on salary adjustment. And that being a personnel matter, what we will do at this point will be go into closed session to discuss it. And I do anticipate that there will be action for the members of the press, people who are hanging around for that. I do not know how long this process will take, because this is the first time that we have engaged in quite so formal a process. For various reasons, it had not been possible before. So the requirement, and I will trust the board attorney to correct me on procedure here if I get this screwed up, but what we need is a motion to go into closed session, and we go into closed session for the stated purpose only. And I'm going into this because there are several commissioners who are new to this process here. And then once we're in there, we will discuss the processes we use there, and then we take no formal action in closed session. We must return to open sessions and take any action in open session. So the chair will entertain a motion to enter into closed session for consideration of the executive director's annual review under 5 ILC 120/2 C2. That is the legal citation that gives us the authorization to do this. Is there such a motion? Moved, is there a second?
Second.
All right, and we'll take a roll call on this, please.
Commissioner Ham?
Yes.
Commissioner Bortel?
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss?
Yes.
Commissioner Hemingway?
All right, so we will slip out, throw a party, download videos, whatever, and we will be back as soon as we can get back. The first order of business here is a motion to return to open session.
I move that we return to open session.
Is there a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Opposed? And we are now returned to open session. There are two items before us in this process, and I'm going to make a two-step motion to address both those items. The first step in the motion is that the board accept and approve Director Lenz's annual report as it has been submitted before us. And the second part of the motion is that we make a 5% salary adjustment for the upcoming year. That's a 5% positive adjustment.
Thanks for the clarification.
I thought I'd let it hang there for just a little bit.
I would like so move.
Did we need a
accept.
motion for that?
I would like to move that we accept the evaluation that was of goals that were offered to us for the 2017, and also, right,
Yeah, we're going to take a roll call on the whole thing.
and then the second part of the motion would be to
The 5%
5%
salary adjustment.
salary adjustment to her current annual.
So somebody want to second this?
I'll second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Are we all clear on what the issue is before us? then ironically enough, you get to call the roll.
Commissioner Bortel,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss,
Yes.
Commissioner Hemingway,
Yeah.
Commissioner Ham.
Definitely yes.
Thank you.
And what Commissioner Ham just said, I think it would be fair to say that the consensus of the board was definitely yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, then, consideration and possible action on the district travel policy. This had been distributed at our last meeting,
I handed out
and there is, I think, a copy
Got it?
floating around here. This is, I think, the old one.
Then disregard what I handed you.
Though this form should be incorporated into the new one. We are required by the state to have such a policy and to use a specified form for our travel policy. And I'm trying to look for my copy, which is, I hope, buried right over here. Do you folks have the copy that was distributed? Okay. There is one change that I would like to suggest to it on this, and there is a phrase in here at some point where it says that we're going to do some things by seniority, and what I've stuck in is that ties be broken by a coin flip. So when we have two people who were sworn in at the same meeting, we would just go ahead and flip the coin,
Or who was
If there's
sworn
contention.
if there's contention about it.
If there's contention.
Right? So,
Can we do like a rock, paper, scissors competition instead?
Just in case somebody doesn't coin.
I would,
We got two.
I've got some other ways to suggest it, but I just thought we'd leave it that way with the coin flip. Okay? So, are there any comments, questions about this document?
Where did you put that? Where is that going to be
It's
at?
supposed to be underlined in white.
Bill, you might actually have the old version. I think I accidentally handed out the older version at this
Okay.
meeting, so my apologies.
And I'm trying to figure out,
Will that be under travel procedures?
yeah, probably, there it is. It's down at the bottom of page 2. Thank you, Phil. It, as much as possible, reimburse travel for commissioner education will be rotated by seniority, give all commissioners equal opportunity, and then I've inserted ties will be broken by a coin toss.
Okay.
We could do Jello wrestling if you wanted to.
I will make sure that everybody has an updated copy in their email tomorrow morning.
Okay. Are you comfortable with acting on this, or do you want to wait till December?
Yeah.
Now?
It's not Jello.
Okay.
Coin flip is fair enough.
Okay. Can we have a motion to rescue us from our descent into madness here?
No kidding.
Somebody want to move to approve?
I'll motion.
Been moved to approve, is there a second?
I second.
Been moved to, and seconded to approve the revised travel for official business funded travel and travel expenses reimbursement policy. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we have escaped that trap. We also are expected to name, and this is item number 11, an official delegate for the IAPD business meeting. Under the policy that we're working with, Commissioner Pettigrew is the second senior member. I will already be attending, and my understanding from IAPD is that I cannot be that business delegate because I will have already voted on stuff that's being put forward. Is anybody considering attending? Mr. Pettigrew is unable to be here tonight because of illness. Are you thinking about going up?
It's a consideration, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I don't recall the dates.
It is the 18th through the 20th of January.
Yeah, I think it's the weekend after the semester starts.
I got a prior commitment already, so I won't be able to attend.
Oh, this is the Jello wrestling portion.
Yeah, the JLS, right. I have to check my schedule, but I may be able to.
Could we, sort of by consensus, without taking a vote, so that we don't lock ourselves into having to come back and do another vote or something?
I've got my daughter's gymnastic competition, but if I can go otherwise.
Congratulations, Commissioner Weiss.
If you can't, let me
Fantastic.
know.
So, we have documentation that has to be returned on that, and I'll just put your name in and maybe follow it up with a couple of other names as,
She indicated she does not want to go, or do you?
I don't know at this point, because
So
I'd hope that we'd be
Valencia
able to,
still.
yeah, I'd hope to be able to get that addressed now, but again, she was not able to be here. But I can put her name in as an alternate. If that will work. It's very interesting because this is the first year I recall this coming to us from IAPT. Has not appeared in the past. So I don't know where that came from. All right, and then the last item is open commissioner presentation and discussion of future agenda items. Does anybody want to discuss Jell-O flavors, or does anybody have anything that we need to be thinking about? Then,
Well, and I don't know what would be appropriate, because Little League did bring up a couple of things about concessions, how that's going to work. What's, we bring up a kind of discussion of what the policy is going to be at Veterans Park for concessions. Are we going to go with just an outside vendor, or is it possible we may have two different competing groups out there? I don't know. If Little League wants to form their own group and have everything, or if this other contract that you had last year would continue on doing it just themselves exclusively.
We have a,
Soccer fields is another thing we need to add to that formula too, because that program's building up too.
right.
So I'm not sure what the policy is for the Park District to have those concessions up and running.
Currently, under the contract that exists at Veterans Park, they have rights to all concessions at Veterans Park for the next 2 years. It was a 3-year contract.
It was a 3-year contract. That's,
this is the external contractor.
Correct. Yep, they run soccer, softball, and then they will run the Little League
for
tournaments.
18 and 19
Mhm.
season.
Yep,
We know that right now, they're locked in.
yep.
Okay.
They participate in special events, but it is separate from their contract. It's excluded. So if they want to participate, they have to pay a separate fee, just like everybody else. It is just for
I didn't know
regularly
if that
scheduled
was-
soccer, softball, and then baseball.
I don't know what the appropriate, that's something that what has not been discussed, and I was not aware of.
Yeah, that's basically a carryover of the existing policy. But it doesn't mean that as we get to the end of that contract, we could not address the issue.
Okay.
Then a motion to adjourn, to adjourn.
A motion?
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please?
Aye.
Opposed? And we wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for being here.